Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you're getting some acids out of there. I mean, the stool can get real acidic. I remember a lot of years ago, I wanted to take a sip of Coke. I just wanted to see what it'd be like after years off of Coke. So someone had a Coke I was with. I took a couple of sips. It actually hurt so bad. It was so acidic. It hurt so bad. I burned all the way out. Yeah, kind of a sign maybe your pancreas isn't producing enough bicarbonate, maybe. I don't know. I mean, so you want to kind of look and see if you have any undigested foods in your stools, because if you do, you might be able to relate a little pancreatic weakness where you're not getting enough bicarbonate. Therefore, basically, you're picking up on some acids coming out of the stool there, because if they burn, that's acids that burn. I doubt if you're that alkaline. I mean, alkalis can burn if you're way up above, say, 10, maybe even below, but 10 will burn. I think 10 up can burn you. So you definitely can burn up in the 13s and 14s. So, each end of the spectrum is not good. So, but I would, if I felt that was continuing, I would check my pancreas, see what gives. It could be that you're just eliminating outside of the bowel wall the acid, some of the acid that's in the bowel wall, and you're feeling a little burn from that. So I just keep going with that high fruit and berry and melon thinking. You might check the pancreas, do the pancreatic formula, buy one bottle and see if that helps you at all. You could try that. But it's not good to burn coming out the front or the back. Humans are frugivores. This is Albatross G. I really appreciate the wisdom you're sharing in your videos, and almost everything I hear you say makes complete sense, but I have to disagree that humans are exclusively frugivores. Our closest living relative, the chimpanzee, eats meat as a portion of their diet. Also, all our closest extinctive relatives, Neanderthals, Homo erectus, etc., all ate at least some meat, if not a great deal of it. And every human culture discovered for the last 2,000 years, as well as every modern hunter-gatherer society, all ate meat, or at least some kind of animal product. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this as to why you think humans are actually frugivores. This is Andrew. I think it's obvious that we're frugivores. I think if you look at the design of omnivores, we don't resemble omnivores. I think if you look at the primates, you'll see a wide variety of consciousness. I think that not all chimpanzees are omnivores. For certainly, I'll show you chimpanzees that actually become eating their own kind. What do you call that? Cannibals. That's what happens when you start feeding chimpanzees meat. I definitely saw a lower caste monkey system on an island that they couldn't get off of, and they were eating shellfish too because that's all they could find to eat. I do know the northern gorillas are up in the mountains, but I tell you this. In my practice, I can take you with MS or any kind of neurological condition and rebuild you with fruits and berries, and I can't with any other food source. Matter of fact, I cannot in any way, shape, or form help you in your health if you eat meat. So how is it that when we eat meat, we lose our health, and when we get rid of meat, we gain our health? See, I think if you go back and you look at the separation from when we moved out of the tropics and the tropical nature of the planet at one time, and we moved more into the Neanderthal type of living in the colder climates, you do see that picked up. You're not going to see fruit eating in these levels. So yes, man has definitely become more omnivorish. But if you take a look at his omnivorish, now you can blame a lot of this on chemicals and stuff like that, granted. But if you look at the omnivorish diet, it doesn't do well with humans. Humans has been decaying in their health for generations, and now it's just accelerated because of all the neurotoxic chemistries and all the other stuff we're dealing with. But if you still go back, you'll see the decay of the human, the northern human, as opposed to the southern human. I see it in my clinic now in comparing the 80 and 90 and 100-year-olds that I get in here from the islands and those that I get in here from northern climates. Yeah, there's a big difference. So like I said, I've been kind of running my own China study in that way. I'd like to also think that humans are a higher species than even the primates. Even though we share 98% supposedly the genes of primates, I think we're a higher evolved species. We don't have the sharp canines that a gorilla has. We're pretty close, though, in every other way. I just think we're a much more simplistic being. I think you have to understand there is growth in awareness. There's growth in creation. You can see that in the adaptability of genetics, and that you can see that it's evolving and growing. So I think if you want to live back in the Neanderthal times, you could. But for me, I like the growth. I think it's time we wake up to our higher spiritual selves, which is what that diet actually does to you. So I just think it's time to wake up out of those Neanderthalic type of thinking and eating. So, I think that can we ever get away from omnivorish eating in this lifetime? For those that are above 20 or 30, maybe not. But as we keep working with our younger people, because it's obvious that your health issues are so much worse when you eat protein than when you come off of it. And I think that's another proof of the problem, is that you have to come off of these things to get well. Well, that means they're not good for you in the first place. I think man adapted to that kind of eating, but I think that also made him very mean, made him very aggressive, and took him away from his spirituality, if there was such a growth. Because most meat eaters, I mean, there's some loving meat eaters, no question. I'm not knocking anybody that's meat eaters, but at all. And I really don't care if you eat meat, to be honest with you. I just don't care. I don't have this kind of opinion that locks people into their way of lives. But to get well, this channel's about Wellville and detoxification. And you got to get away from proteins to get well. How interesting is that? So I think if you take a look at the whole thing, you realize that humans migrated away from the tropics, which is an obvious, and that his diet became more omnivorish and in some cases very carnivorish. That those people are sick as all get out. I saw different National Geographic doing special about different tribes in New Guinea and things and their particular diets. And the healthier diets were more the vegan diets. You just really see that everywhere. So if you want to eat meat, go ahead, but I think it's illusionary to think it's a healthy thing to do. That's all I'm saying. If you understand that it's a toxic thing to do, that you like it and you're going to do it, okay, I don't have a problem with that. That's why I'm not a purist thinking in that way. But to get well and to get at this level of healing, you have to go this doorway. What you do after that, I don't care. If you want to eat meat, I don't care. But how interesting is it that you have to get away from that to get well? I think that goes a long way in a statement in and of itself, don't you? I do. So I think that's what kind of basically sums it up in a nutshell. Really, the primates fit in a category all their own, even though there are some omnivorish primates, there's no question. There's also high frugivorish primates, which is typically your orangutan family and stuff, and I do believe the mountain gorillas would be less veggies, more fruit, if they had access to it. I think it's all about where they live and the planet we're on and that sort of thing. I think it's a difficult planet to be on and migrate out of your area, and the humans being so prolific multipliers of the species, kind of like ants, that we haven't had a way to check our population growth. And nature has a way to check population growth and then wipe out whole populations of things. And I think humans have to think about that and what might happen to the human race because of that. You can only infiltrate a planet as it is sustainable for all the species. So you have to consider some of those things. So I don't care, again, I don't care if you do have the omnivorish way of thinking, but to get well, we're talking about detoxification. I can tell you I'm probably one of the better healers of the world, and I can tell you that there is no healing on meats and proteins. But I appreciate your comment, Andrew, because I think the world of you too. And it's just the way that is. We can rationale the past, but we must understand that I think we have to look at the fact that there should be growth and evolvement, where we're evolving into a higher level. And in that process, we have to get rid of the decay and the, I mean, just as you go spiritually, just to look at dead tissue, you don't even have to even have a concept about it. You just don't want it anymore. And I can tell you that you feel so much better and lighter and a lot less acidic without proteins. And I just don't see where the human being is made into a protein species. Matter of fact, all the people that come in here have been on high proteins. These people are the sickest. I mean, look at what Atkins' philosophy did to people. Just about ripped them. And there's just nothing, there's nothing to me chemical. When you look at meat eating from chemistry, it makes no sense for humans. It's totally wrong ratioed food for humans. You're a predominantly acidic food. You don't put a predominantly acidic food into the blood. It's contraire. Fruits and vegetables are 80-20. So you really don't see anything that would be statement-wise that the meat would be good for you. If anything, the negative forces have controlled man and controlled their diet and had them eat meat so they live in the lower levels of consciousness. As far as I'm concerned, if you got it into that way, who has made man eat so bad? I mean, we've got to lift our heads out of dead tissue and out of the earth and more toward the sky. And we live a lot longer and a lot healthier because of it. But what I see in here is the difference between health of those people living in the islands and those people living outside the islands, and they're the ones that were raised on the fruit. They just see just such a difference in their beauty and their longevity and the way they look longevity. You could take a 100-year-old from the islands and a 100-year-old from, let's say, Michigan, and the difference in the tone of the skin, their agility is night and friggin' day. Hi, Dr. Morse. Thank you so much for your videos and the time you take to make them for us. I appreciate you guys reviewing them as much as that. So thank you all. And I love Andrew. All you guys keep putting your questions up. It's a good debate. I like a good debate to a point. So yeah, it's a good debate. Yeah. But again, I'm not a purist thinking anymore. So if you want to have some meat, go ahead. But getting well, get off of it for a while and get your body cleaned out and healthy and then go back. I think you're going to see something interesting when you try to go back. What are your thoughts on detoxing while breastfeeding an 18-month-old whose primary nutrition is no longer breast milk? She nurses 2 to 3 times per day and maybe gets 8 to 16 ounces. Well, I think at 18-month-old, it's time to get her off. That's what I think. I think it's time that you start introducing your baby to fruits if you haven't already. We do that. Jennifer introduces fruits within a few months to her babies. And I mean, her babies are smart and strong, no question about it. So at this point, I've had to take babies within just 7-8 months off of milks and get them onto the fruits and stuff just because of the fact of their dying and stuff. So I'd say at 18 months, it's time to get her off of breast milk, or certainly start titrating her off. 2 years is the max, really, getting her on fresh fruits and all that. I'm sure at 18 months, you've got her eating some fruits and stuff like that, because we're doing that within, a year here. Or so after that.